There is a lie that has been whispered to us so often that it starts to sound like the truth. It says, wait until you feel ready. Wait until inspiration finds you. Wait until motivation strikes like lightning. And so we wait. We wait while our dreams gather dust. We wait while our energy fades. We wait while the life we were meant to build slips further out of reach. The danger of waiting is that time never waits with us. It keeps moving. The world keeps spinning. And every second we spend in hesitation is a second stolen from our future. You are not stuck because you lack talent. You are stuck because you keep waiting for a feeling that was never meant to lead you. This audiobook is not for those who want to feel good for a moment. It is for those who are ready to transform. It is a map out of distraction, out of delay, out of weakness. It is a manual for building your strongest self, in silence, in discipline, and in clarity. If you listen until the end, you will no longer live for permission. You will no longer depend on fleeting motivation. You will become the person who chooses discipline over doubt, focus over fear, and execution over excuses. And if these words shake something inside you, share this message with someone who is stuck, someone who needs to remember that waiting is the real danger. Action is the way out. Let us begin. Chapter 1. Focus fully on building your strongest self every day. There is a reason most people stay stuck. It is not because they are lazy or hopeless. It is because they never focus long enough on themselves to grow. They are too busy watching others, too distracted by noise, too reactive to life instead of creating it. The truth is, if you are not actively building your life, you are passively allowing it to slip away. You either build the future you want, or you drift into the one you fear. Every moment you delay, every excuse you repeat, every distraction you allow is a brick stacked against your own progress. Growth does not happen by accident. Strength does not appear because you wish for it. Power is built choice by choice in silence when no one is watching. You become stronger not when it is easy, but when it is inconvenient. When you wake up and choose the hard path anyway. When you move your body even when you are tired. When you open the book instead of the app. When you sit down to plan instead of escape. That is when real change begins, not in a moment of inspiration, but in the practice of daily action. Ask yourself this: are you growing or are you distracting yourself? Are you building something solid or are you wasting the foundation? Are you becoming more focused or are you being pulled apart by everything that does not matter? These are not soft questions. They are brutal, but they are necessary because nobody can answer them for you, and nobody is coming to fix it for you. It has to be you. The strength you want is on the other side of commitment. Commitment is not loud. It is not glamorous. It does not announce itself. It whispers, do the work every day, whether you feel like it or not. It means you show up tired. You show up discouraged. You show up unsure, but you show up anyway. That is how you separate yourself. That is how you build a self that nobody can tear down. If this message moved you, share it with someone who needs it. You have to stop waiting to feel ready. You have to stop hoping someone will hand you a breakthrough. Breakthroughs are built, not received. You build them with consistency, with effort that compounds day after day, even when it is invisible, especially when it is invisible. That is when the foundation gets stronger. That is when your future starts to take form, one invisible brick at a time. The power of focus is this: when you concentrate all your energy on your own growth, your entire world starts to shift. You stop comparing. You stop explaining. You stop needing applause. You understand that this is your journey, your responsibility, your life. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is obligated to believe in you. That is your job. And the stronger you become, the more everything begins to align. Focus is your superpower in a world built to steal it. Every notification, every meaningless opinion, every toxic voice is a thief. They are not just stealing your time, they are stealing your future. You have to guard your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. The life you want requires attention. It requires clarity. It requires space. And that means cutting out everything that weakens your focus. You cannot build a life of greatness if your mind is filled with noise. Discipline begins with the smallest decisions. One healthy meal, one quiet hour, one workout, one refusal to waste time. It builds like compound interest, slowly, silently, but powerfully. And one day the results show. One day your life looks different. And it will not be because you got lucky. It will be because you chose to build when it was hard, when it was lonely, when no one clapped. That is the true work. What are you doing today to become who you said you want to be? What actions are you taking right now to respect the future you are trying to create? This is not about being perfect. It is about being consistent. It is about staying true when it is easier to quit. It is about remembering why you started when everything in you wants to stop. Every day you choose growth, you choose power. Every day you act, you create momentum. Every day you focus, you move closer to the version of yourself who does not break under pressure. You rise, and the world begins to take notice, not because you asked it to, but because transformation cannot be hidden forever. Chapter 2. Train your mind to ignore all outside noise. Every day you wake up, there is noise waiting for you. It comes in the form of opinions, criticism, distractions, and expectations that were never yours to carry. If you are not careful, you will find yourself living a life that belongs to someone else, a life shaped by what others think, not by what you truly want. Most people do not realize how much of their power they give away simply by reacting. Reacting to comments, reacting to doubts, reacting to everything but their own inner compass. But here is the truth. If you do not train your mind to be quiet, the world will train it to be chaotic. Focus is not just about what you do, it is about what you ignore. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every opinion is worth your attention. Not every voice is qualified to speak into your future. You must become selective. You must learn to say, "This is not for me." You must build a wall around your peace, your purpose, your vision. Because once your mind is contaminated with noise, clarity becomes impossible. And without clarity, you lose your way. There will always be someone who does not understand your path. Someone who thinks you are aiming too high. Someone who cannot see the vision that burns inside you. That is not your problem. Your only job is to stay focused, to keep walking, to silence the outer world long enough to hear your own voice again. And if your voice has been buried under years of doubt, it is time to dig it out. Because that voice, your true voice, knows exactly where you are meant to go. This is not about arrogance. It is about alignment. You were not born to please everyone. You were not created to fit into small expectations. You were made to build something meaningful, and that requires solitude, that requires silence, that requires strength. When the world gets loud, you must go inward. You must remember what matters and what does not. You must ask yourself, will this make me stronger? Will this move me forward? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, lock in and move with intention. Opinions do not build your life. Actions do. Discipline does. Daily focus does. The moment you start listening to every voice around you, you start shrinking your vision to fit into someone else's fears. But when you train your mind to stay rooted in your truth, you stop needing permission. You stop explaining. You stop negotiating your worth. You stand firm in who you are and who you are becoming. Every time you refuse to react, you gain strength. Every time you ignore the noise and choose clarity, you sharpen your mind. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to hear your own thoughts more clearly. And that inner trust becomes a compass guiding you through chaos, through criticism, through doubt. You no longer crumble when people misunderstand you. You no longer bend every time the wind blows. You stand tall because your strength is not built on approval. It is built on purpose. Strength is not loud. It does not need to prove itself. It moves in silence. It works in silence. It grows in silence. And when the time is right, the results speak for themselves. So when the world gets noisy, let it. You do not have to join in. You do not have to explain. You do not have to fight battles that are not worthy of your time. You protect your energy. You protect your dream. You protect your peace. And if this message speaks to something deep in your spirit, subscribe for more truths that shift your perspective. You are not here to argue. You are here to build. You are not here to please the crowd. You are here to fulfill your calling. You are not here to be everything to everyone. You are here to become everything you were meant to be. And that journey starts when you stop listening to the noise and start listening to your own soul. Ask yourself, what are you allowing into your mind that does not belong there? What are you giving your attention to that only drains you? What would happen if you took all that energy and redirected it into your goals, your habits, your growth? That shift alone could change everything. That shift is the beginning of real focus, and real focus is the foundation of real success. Train your mind to be still in the chaos. Train your mind to stay locked in when distractions arise. Train your mind to choose purpose over popularity. Because once your mind is trained, your future becomes unstoppable. You move with clarity, you act with precision, you grow with intention. And no matter what noise surrounds you, you stay centered, you stay strong, you stay on your path. Chapter 3. Fight for your dreams. When no one believed. There comes a moment in every journey when the people around you stop clapping, when the voices that once supported you turn silent, when the faces that once smiled with pride now carry quiet doubt. That moment is a fork in the road, a test of belief. Not their belief, but yours. Because here is the truth, it is not their job to believe in your dream, it is yours. Your vision was given to you, not to them. So if you are waiting for the world to validate it, you are already too late. Most people will not understand what drives you. They will not see the fire inside you because it is not theirs to feel. They may love you, they may care for you, but that does not mean they are capable of seeing the life you are building. And that is okay. It is not your responsibility to make them see it. It is your responsibility to build it anyway, to keep showing up even when the applause stops, to keep fighting for the life you said you would create even when no one else claps. Fighting for your dreams is not glamorous. It is not always inspiring. Some days it is lonely. Some days it is exhausting. Some days it feels like shouting into the wind. But those are the days that build you. Those are the moments that forge something unbreakable inside you. Because every time you choose to believe without evidence, you grow stronger. Every time you choose to keep moving without results, you become more dangerous. And one day, those invisible victories will become visible. One day, the proof will be undeniable. You have to learn to be your own believer, your own source of motivation, your own source of courage. Because if your belief only exists when others affirm it, it will crumble the moment they walk away. But if your belief is rooted in something deeper, in purpose, in vision, in a promise you made to yourself, then it cannot be shaken. It becomes armor. It becomes fuel. Think of every great achievement, every book written, every business built, every mountain climbed. Behind each one is a person who had to believe alone first, who had to keep working in silence, who had to push through doubts not just from others but from within. And still, they did not quit. That is the spirit you must carry, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. The voice in your head will try to trick you. It will say, maybe they are right. It will say, maybe I should just settle, but you cannot afford to listen. You have to remind yourself the dream matters. It matters because it calls something powerful out of you. It demands the strongest version of you to rise. And that version will never be born in comfort. It will be born in resistance, in silence, in the fight. You will be tempted to explain yourself, to prove yourself, but you do not owe anyone an explanation. The results will speak when the time is right. The best way to prove them wrong is not with words, it is with action. Relentless, focused, disciplined action. Day after day. When you want to give up, fight harder. When no one sees the effort, increase it. When no one believes, double down. Because the battle is not against them. It is against your own excuses. And that is a battle you can win. And if this message reminds you of who you are, share it with someone who needs to wake up to their own strength. Do not wait to be believed in. Start believing in yourself now. You must become the kind of person who does not fold when it gets hard, who does not shrink when others doubt, who does not pause just because the room goes quiet. You must become the kind of person who builds anyway, who creates anyway, who keeps going even with nothing but a whisper of hope left. That is what separates the dreamers from the doers. That is what separates those who almost made it from those who did. Every rejection is a test. Every delay is a challenge. Every silent morning is a choice. You either keep building or you break. You either push forward or you retreat. And the world, it will not remember those who almost tried. It will remember the ones who kept swinging when no one was watching. So take your vision and write it down. Burn it into your memory. Let it be the reason you wake up early, the reason you work late, the reason you sacrifice now so you can live fully later. You are not building this life for comfort. You are building it for freedom. You are not fighting to impress them. You are fighting to become the person you were born to be. Chapter 4. Show up for yourself every single day. Most people do not fail because they lack ability. They fail because they lack consistency. They start strong, inspired by a burst of motivation, and then slowly fade as the days become routine. Excitement turns into resistance. Passion turns into hesitation. And soon the habit disappears. But the people who win, the ones who actually reach their goals, have one thing in common: they show up every single day. Not just when they feel like it. Not just when it is convenient. Not just when someone is watching. They show up regardless. Showing up is not about perfection. It is not about grand achievements. It is about presence. About choosing to be there for yourself when no one else can. About choosing your future over your feelings. Because let us be honest, your feelings will lie to you. They will tell you to rest when you need to grind. They will tell you to quit when you are almost there. They will convince you that effort is wasted when the results are not instant. But you have to be stronger than those whispers. You have to be loyal to your purpose, not your mood. Every time you keep your promise to yourself, you build trust. Every time you do the hard thing, you prove to yourself that you are dependable. That self-trust becomes the foundation of everything. Because if you cannot rely on yourself, everything else crumbles. You will second-guess every goal. You will abandon every challenge. You will give up at the first sign of resistance. But when you show up daily, even in small ways, that foundation becomes unshakable. Do not underestimate the power of small acts repeated with intention. One workout, one healthy meal, 1 hour of deep work, 1 page read. These moments seem small in isolation, but they compound. Over weeks, months, years, they shape you. They refine your mind. They fortify your spirit. They become proof that you are serious about the life you said you wanted. Think about it this way: every day is a vote. Every action you take is casting a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. Are you voting for strength or for surrender? For growth or for comfort? For purpose or for distraction? You do not need to be perfect. You just need to keep showing up and casting votes in the right direction. And if this resonates with you, share it with someone who is losing momentum, someone who needs to be reminded that showing up is the real win. There will be days when your energy is low, days when your mind is cloudy, days when nothing makes sense. Those are the most important days to show up. not because the progress will be massive, but because the act of showing up is the victory. It is the refusal to quit. It is the commitment to momentum, because the only way to fail is to stop. If you do not stop, you are still in the game. You are still building. You are still becoming. Real transformation is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is quiet and patient. It is built through ordinary days stacked with extraordinary discipline. You do not always need motivation. What you need is a system, a decision, a line in the sand that says, this is who I am now, a person who shows up regardless of mood, a person who moves forward even when the path is unclear. So ask yourself, can you trust you? Can you count on you to do what needs to be done even when it is hard? Can you rise when everything around you says stay down? That is the difference between dreaming and doing, between wishing and working, between almost and actual. And no, it does not have to be perfect. You will stumble, you will mess up, you will miss days. But the standard is not perfection, it is persistence. Get back up, realign, recommit. That is how you win. That is how you build a life that lasts. You owe it to your future self to stay in the game. You owe it to your younger self who once dreamed big. You owe it to the people counting on you even if they do not know it yet. Your example could be their permission. Your discipline could be their inspiration. But first, you have to show up. Chapter 5. Cut out every distraction that weakens your focus. The world is not short on opportunity. It is drowning in distraction. And the ones who rise are not the most gifted, not the most connected. They are the ones who learn to focus. Pure, ruthless, consistent focus. Because focus is power. And every distraction, no matter how small, steals from that power. You do not lose momentum all at once. You lose it in quiet moments. One scroll, one conversation, 1 hour lost to something meaningless. And before you know it, your energy is scattered and your direction is gone. Every dream you have demands your full attention. But if you are constantly giving pieces of yourself away to people, to habits, to noise, what is left for your purpose? You have to get honest. Where is your focus going? What are you feeding that does not feed you back? What drains you? What distracts you? Because not everything deserves access to your mind. Not every voice deserves your time. Not every invitation deserves a yes. To build anything great, you must make sacrifices. You must say no to good things to make space for great things. And that means cutting out distractions, even the ones that feel comfortable, especially those, because comfort often hides the biggest thieves. Entertainment that numbs you, relationships that dull you, habits that weaken you, these are not harmless, they are expensive. They cost you time, energy, clarity, and most of all, progress. You do not need more time, you need fewer distractions. You do not need more motivation, you need more clarity. Because when you are clear on what you are building, everything else becomes noise. You start seeing temptations as traps. You start recognizing comfort as danger. You start protecting your environment with fierce intention. If this truth hits home, share it with someone who keeps starting over, someone who needs a reminder that greatness is not about doing more, it is about doing less, better. Look around you. What do you see? Is your space designed to support your goals, or is it set up for escape and delay? Your environment shapes your behavior. You cannot stay focused in a space that constantly pulls you away. Clean it, simplify it. Make the right action easy and the wrong one hard. Set the conditions that make success automatic, not by chance, by design. But distractions are not just around you, they are inside you. Fear is a distraction. Overthinking is a distraction. Self-doubt is a distraction. You must learn to quiet the inner noise as well. Train your mind to refocus. Train your mind to say, this is not helping me, and redirect it toward what matters. That is discipline. That is self-leadership. That is power. Every time you remove a distraction, you make room for growth. Every time you say no to something weak, You say yes to something strong. That is the trade. And it is always worth it. Because you are not here to fit in. You are here to rise. You are not here to be entertained. You are here to evolve. You are not here to waste time. You are here to use it like the precious currency it is. This is not about being perfect. This is about being intentional, about seeing your life as a limited resource and treating every minute like it matters because it does. If you knew how close you were to the breakthrough, you would cut every distraction without hesitation. If you saw what was waiting on the other side of your discipline, you would protect your focus like your future depends on it, because it does. You have to decide what matters more, the moment or the mission, the pleasure or the purpose, the now or the next. Your answer will shape your life. Your focus is your future. Guard it, build with it, and never let anything cheap steal what is priceless. Chapter 6. Own your life without blaming anyone for anything. There is a turning point in every person's journey, a moment when you finally look in the mirror and admit the truth. No one is coming to rescue you. No one else is responsible for your dreams. And blaming others, no matter how justified it may feel, will never move you forward. This is the moment where your life either begins to rise or continues to repeat. Because until you own your life fully, the good, the bad, the messy, and the miraculous, you stay stuck. You stay powerless. You stay behind. Blame is comforting at first. It gives us someone to point to, someone to hold responsible for our pain, our delays, our failures. It feels good to say, they hurt me, or they never supported me, or I did not get the chance they had. But that comfort is temporary, because with every excuse we give away our power. With every finger pointed, we lose control of the one thing that can change everything ourselves. And the cost of that comfort is far too high. Your life will not change because someone apologizes. Your life will not rise because the world becomes fair. Your life changes the moment you decide to take full responsibility, not for what happened, but for what happens next. You cannot rewrite the past, but you can absolutely author the future. And ownership is the pen. You were not born to be a victim of your circumstances. You were born to be the architect of your reality. But you cannot build anything meaningful while carrying the weight of blame. You cannot grow while pointing outward. The energy you spend complaining is the energy you should be using to climb. That energy is sacred, and it must be redirected inward, into decisions, into habits, into action. Responsibility is not about guilt. It is not about punishing yourself for your mistakes. It is about claiming your ability to change, to rise, to rebuild. It is about understanding that you are not broken, you are becoming. That you are not behind, you are just now beginning to lead yourself. And if this resonates with you, send it to someone who needs to hear that their power has never been taken, only delayed. When you begin to own your life, you start seeing every moment differently. Challenges become training grounds. Failures become feedback. Delays become preparation. You stop asking, why me, and start asking, what now? You stop resenting the pain and start learning from it. You stop waiting for someone to hand you purpose and start living with it one intentional step at a time. There is freedom in this shift, deep, liberating freedom, because when you take full ownership, nothing outside of you has the power to stop you. Not the critics, not the setbacks, not even the scars. You become grounded in something stronger than circumstance. You become anchored in personal truth. And that truth is this: you are responsible for everything you do from this point forward. That is not a burden, that is a gift. Owning your life means owning your energy. It means setting boundaries that protect your peace. It means taking inventory of your habits and asking, is this helping me or holding me back? It means becoming honest, brutally honest about where you have allowed fear to guide your decisions, where you have chosen comfort over growth, and where you have postponed your purpose in the name of someday. Let that honesty sting if it must. Let it wake you up, because nothing changes until something is confronted. and you cannot fix what you are still blaming. The truth might hurt, but it will also heal. It will rebuild you. It will reset your standard. It will realign you with the power that has always lived inside you. When you take ownership, you also stop waiting. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for the perfect time because you realize the perfect time is the moment you take action. The right time is now. Ownership removes the illusion of delay. It reminds you that waiting is often just fear wearing a disguise. And the only way out of fear is forward. You must also own your mindset. You must train your thoughts like you would train your body with intention, repetition, and discipline. You must be aware of the stories you tell yourself, the silent scripts that run in the background. I am not good enough. I always mess things up. It is too late for me. These are not facts. These are beliefs. And beliefs can be rewritten when you decide to take control. That internal dialogue, that is your responsibility. That mindset, that is your domain. No one else can fix it for you. But the moment you start questioning those stories, the moment you stop accepting old limitations as truth, that is the moment your mind starts to shift. That is when you take the wheel. Every choice from here on is an act of authorship. Every thought you feed is either fuel or poison. Every action you take is either investment or avoidance. And once you see your life as your creation, you can never go back. You can never again say, "This just happened to me," because you will know that even when life hits you, your response is what defines you. That is not just theory, that is real power. You do not need to be the smartest. You do not need to be the most connected, but you must be the most responsible. You must be the one who decides that your life is yours, that your future is not on loan, that your potential is not up for debate. You do not need anyone else's permission to rise, but you do need your own commitment. And it begins today. And if this message cracked something open in you, do not keep it to yourself. Let it move through someone else who needs it. You are not too far gone. You are not too broken. You are not too late. You are right on time if you begin now, if you stop running, if you stop blaming, if you stop waiting. Everything changes the moment you say, "I am responsible for this," not just in words, but in action. Daily, steady, unshakable action. So own your choices, own your pace, own your emotions, own your story, the raw, unfiltered truth of it. Because when you stop hiding from the truth, you start healing. And when you start healing, you start creating. And when you start creating, you finally start living not as a reaction, but as a decision. That is ownership. And that is where your power lives. Chapter 7. Stop negotiating with your weakness. There is a moment before every decision when two voices begin to speak. One is soft, familiar, and seductive. It offers comfort, excuses, and temporary relief. That is your weakness. The other voice is quiet but firm. It demands more, pushes harder, and speaks the truth you often try to avoid. That is your discipline. Every day you are in negotiation with these voices, and the side you feed becomes the life you live. Weakness will never shout. It whispers. It tells you to sleep in just a little longer. It convinces you to skip one workout, one page, 1 hour of effort. You deserve a break, it says. You can do it tomorrow. It speaks with the language of kindness, but its goal is destruction. Because weakness is not always loud. Sometimes it is disguised as self-care, as rest, as rational delay. But the truth is not every voice that sounds kind has your best interest at heart. If you keep negotiating with your weakness, you will lose every time, not all at once, slowly, one compromise at a time, until one day you wake up and realize you are miles away from the person you were meant to become. Because greatness is not stolen in a single act. It is surrendered in 1,000 quiet moments of negotiation. Strength, on the other hand, demands silence. It does not argue. It does not explain. It simply says, move. When your alarm goes off, it says, rise. When your body aches, it says, push. When fear creeps in, it says, act anyway. Strength is not glamorous, it is not emotional, it is consistent. And the more you obey that voice, the louder it becomes. The more you follow its command, the less negotiation you allow. You cannot keep asking, how do I feel, before every decision, because most days you will not feel like it. And if your feelings are the driver, your future will be a wreck. Discipline is built when you act in spite of how you feel. When you train your body and mind to obey what needs to be done instead of what feels good. That is how warriors are made, not through motivation, but through submission to purpose. And if this stirs something deep within you, send it to someone who keeps losing the same battle every morning. Someone who needs to remember that you do not win because you feel strong. You win because you stop negotiating. Think of it like this: you are the commander of your life. Every time you let weakness speak, you give it authority. Every time you obey the easier path, you empower the weaker voice. But every time you say no to your excuses, every time you move when it is hard, you strengthen the commander. You remind yourself who is in charge. You rewrite your identity one act at a time. This is not about being perfect. You will slip. You will fall into old habits. But the question is, how long will you stay there? Will you keep negotiating, or will you rise and reclaim control? The bounce back is where strength is forged. The refusal to stay down is what builds resilience. Do not let one bad day become your new standard. Interrupt the pattern, break the loop, move forward even with shaky steps. Weakness has many disguises. It wears the face of fear, the voice of doubt, the tone of procrastination. But no matter what form it takes, it can only survive if you listen. Silence it, starve it, replace it. Because the cost of weakness is not just lost time, it is a lost life. And you have one shot, one chance to become the person you were born to be. You cannot afford to negotiate that away. You must create a new rule, non-negotiable discipline. This is who I am now. I move when I say I will. I show up no matter what. I do not ask for permission from my mood. I act in alignment with my goals, not my emotions. That rule, once cemented, becomes the foundation of everything. And over time, it creates a mind that is unshakable. Your job is not to eliminate weakness entirely. That voice may never go away. Your job is to outgrow it, to overpower it, to make it so small that it no longer wins the vote. That is how you build a life worth living. That is how you build a mind worth trusting. You are not weak. You have just been negotiating with weakness too long. You have listened to its excuses. You have obeyed its lies. But that ends now. From this moment on, every decision becomes a declaration. I will no longer serve weakness. I will no longer delay my growth. I will no longer abandon my future for a feeling. This is your time, not next week, not when you feel better. Now, move, decide, cut off the negotiation, and become the one who chooses power every single time. Chapter 8. Embrace boredom and repetition like a master. There is a hidden enemy in the journey of growth, not fear, not failure, but boredom. That quiet lull when the work becomes routine, when the spark fades and the grind begins. Most people think they quit because it is hard, but the truth is they quit because it is not exciting anymore, because it is not new, because it does not feel like progress. But mastery is never built on excitement. It is built on repetition. Quiet, unseen, relentless repetition. The world has trained you to chase stimulation, to jump from one thing to another, constantly seeking novelty, addicted to the rush of starting something fresh. But greatness does not live there. It lives in the dull spaces, the early mornings, the empty rooms, the quiet effort nobody claps for. If you want to rise, you must learn to love boredom. You must make peace with the process. Because the process, not the moment of reward, is where transformation happens. Repetition is not glamorous, it does not post well, it does not entertain, but it works. Day after day, the same choices, the same movements, the same discipline. Like a sculptor chipping away at stone, knowing that with enough persistence, something powerful will emerge. Most will never stay long enough to see that. They will quit when the feelings disappear. They will abandon the mission in the name of something more exciting. And they will miss the breakthrough that only consistency can unlock. The people who become world-class at anything do not rely on inspiration. They rely on systems. They wake up and do the work whether it feels good or not. They repeat until it becomes automatic. They understand that boredom is not the enemy. It is the signal that you are on the edge of growth. Because if it still feels fresh, you are still a beginner. But if it feels boring, you are getting close to mastery. If this message reminds you to keep going even when it feels dry, even when no one is watching, share it with someone who is in the middle of repetition and needs to know it is working. Think about an athlete, a musician, a writer, a craftsman. Their results are not born from brilliance, they are born from practice. Repetition without applause, hours of drills, rewriting the same line, lifting the same weight, studying the same pattern. They keep showing up not because they feel like it, but because they have built the habit of excellence. And the habit is stronger than the boredom. This is your reminder. You do not need a new plan. You need to keep executing the old one. You do not need another motivational video. You need to keep doing the reps. You do not need permission to be great. You need discipline to keep showing up after the emotion wears off. Let us be clear, boredom is not a sign to quit. It is a sign to lean in, to go deeper, to refine, to elevate. Because what looks like repetition on the surface is actually refinement at the core. Each rep makes you more efficient. Each day adds layers of skill. Each moment in the grind builds a resilience that cannot be faked. You want to know what separates the ones who make it from the ones who do not. It is not talent. It is not intelligence. It is the ability to embrace the grind without needing to be entertained. The ability to find pride in repetition. To honor the process even when it feels invisible. To understand that the work is working even when the results are not immediate. Repetition builds rhythm. Rhythm builds momentum. Momentum builds identity. And once your identity shifts, once you see yourself as someone who always shows up, who always executes, you no longer need external motivation. You become self-driven, self-led, unstoppable. Yes, it will get boring. Yes, you will want to quit. Yes, your mind will search for escape routes. But every time you override that impulse, every time you do the work anyway, you harden your mindset. You silence the noise. You strengthen the muscle of discipline. That is the unseen training. That is where the internal shift begins. And if this is the 8th time you are hearing it, good, because mastery is built through hearing, reading, and doing the same truths until they no longer inspire you. They become you. The goal is not to be entertained. The goal is to be effective. And effectiveness is built through repetition, not perfection. Not intensity, but repetition. Over and over again until the results are inevitable, until your systems take over, until excellence becomes your default. So next time boredom whispers, this again smile, because that is the signal you are doing it right. You are doing what most cannot. You are showing up without applause. You are grinding without guarantees. You are mastering your process, and soon your process will master everything else. Chapter 9. Detach from the outcome and fall in love with the effort. So much suffering comes not from the work itself, but from the weight we place on results. We tie our worth to outcomes. We measure our value by what we can prove. And when the progress does not come fast enough, when the numbers do not reflect our effort, we begin to question everything, including ourselves. But the truth is, this greatness is not found in outcomes. It is found in the person who keeps going without needing proof, in the one who falls in love with the effort, not the applause. Most people do not quit because they are tired. They quit because they are attached. Attached to how fast it should happen. Attached to who should notice. Attached to a timeline that was never real. And when the results do not match the expectation, they say, "What is the point?" But that is the wrong question. The real question is, who am I becoming by doing this? Because that answer is where the power lives. When you detach from outcomes, you free yourself to work with joy. You stop gripping your goals so tightly that you strangle the process. You stop seeing your journey as a transaction. I do this, and I get that, and start seeing it as a transformation. You begin to respect the process for what it does to your soul, not just your status. And that shift is everything. Results are not guaranteed. Growth is. Outcomes are uncertain. Character is not. And if your sense of identity is rooted in what you can control, your effort, your consistency, your focus, then no failure can shake you. No delay can break you. No silence can stop you. Because your foundation is not in what you receive. It is in what you give over and over without expectation. This is not easy. We live in a world that rewards visibility, not patience, that celebrates outcomes, not process. But the rare ones, the grounded ones, they move differently. They build in silence. They do not chase timelines. They trust the invisible progress. Because they know that every step they take, whether seen or unseen, is building something solid inside. And if this feels like a message you needed to hear, share it with someone who has forgotten why they started. Someone who needs to remember that effort is never wasted, not when it shapes who you become. Detachment does not mean you do not care. It means you care more about the right things. You care more about who you are becoming than what you are collecting. You care more about living in alignment than performing for praise. You care more about discipline than dopamine. And in that space, you find peace. You find freedom. You find the power to keep going without the poison of expectation. This is where you begin to love the grind, not because it feels good, but because it builds something real. You start to see the early mornings, the lonely nights, the uncelebrated efforts as sacred, as holy ground, as the place where your character is being refined and your focus is being sharpened. You are not just chasing results. You are becoming someone who cannot be moved by them. Detach from the finish line, anchor to the daily step, because the finish line will always move. But the step is right here, and when you do that step well, with presence, with passion, with persistence, you win, even if the world never sees it, even if the numbers never match, because you know I am giving my best, and that is always enough. Measure your success in discipline, in integrity, in follow-through, in the way you speak to yourself when no one is around, in the way you keep your promises not just to others but to yourself. That is real success. That is the kind of success no one can take from you, because it is built on something deeper than outcome. It is built on effort. And yes, results will come, eventually, inevitably, consistently, but they will not be the thing that sustains you. It will be the fire you built in the process, the resilience you forged in the silence, the joy you found in becoming who you were meant to be one day at a time without applause. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not wasting time. You are being shaped right here, right now. And the work you are doing, the silent, invisible, disciplined work, it is not in vain. It is preparing you for more than you can see. So stop asking, is it working? And start asking, am I showing up with full effort? Because that is all you control. That is all you need. That is where the power begins and where the anxiety ends. Chapter 10. Learn to be proud of progress no one sees. In a world that only applauds what it can measure, internal progress often goes unnoticed. No one sees the battles you fight in your mind. No one claps when you resist an old habit. No spotlight shines on the moment you choose peace over reaction, silence over noise, action over excuses. But these invisible victories, they are the foundation of everything you will become. And if you do not learn to be proud of them, you will always feel like you are behind, even while you are growing. We have been conditioned to believe that growth must be validated by metrics, that success needs to be posted, shared, liked. But the deepest progress is quiet. It is internal. It happens when you show up differently than you used to, when you hold the line, when you do not quit, not because someone is watching, but because you know who you are becoming. There is a strength that comes from doing the work in the dark, from pushing through the mundane without applause, from choosing the path of discipline not because it brings attention, but because it brings alignment. This kind of strength is rare. It is not celebrated, but it is solid. It is the kind of strength no one can fake and no one can take. So if you are changing silently, keep going. If you are building habits no one claps for, keep building. If you are showing up for yourself in ways that used to feel impossible, honor that. Celebrate it, because every step matters. Every moment of quiet progress is rewiring who you are, and that is the kind of transformation that lasts. And if this message resonates with your quiet effort, send it to someone who needs to be reminded that not all progress is visible, but all progress is valuable. It is easy to feel invisible when your wins are not obvious, when your growth does not look like fireworks. But invisibility is not weakness, it is preparation. You are not being overlooked, you are being built. The silence is not punishment, it is space for mastery. Use it, respect it, own it. There will be days when it feels like nothing is working, when you wonder if all this effort matters, when your old life calls back to you louder than ever. That is when you must remember you are not who you used to be. Even if the world cannot see the change, yet you know it, you feel it, and that knowing must become your fuel. You are becoming the kind of person who no longer needs validation to keep going, the kind of person who recognizes their own progress even when no one else does. That kind of self-awareness, that kind of internal pride, it is unshakable, because it is not built on approval. It is built on alignment, on integrity, on truth. Make this a daily practice. Notice your growth. Celebrate your effort. Acknowledge the days you did not quit. Mark the moments you chose the harder path. Write it down if you must. Create your own record of victory, because if you only measure progress by external outcomes, you will miss the miracle that is happening within you. You have to train yourself to see success differently. It is not just the goal reached, it is the discipline applied. It is not just the weight lost, it is the choices made. It is not just the deal closed, it is the preparation, the setbacks, the recovery. Success is the small, unglamorous decisions compounded over time. And those cannot always be seen, but they are always felt. You know when you are growing. You can feel it in the space between reaction and response, in the quiet refusal to self-sabotage, in the way you keep promises to yourself that used to be broken. That is progress, and it is sacred. You do not need a trophy for that. You need recognition from yourself. And one day the world will notice. One day the results will show. But by then it will not matter as much, because you will already be proud. You will already know that you did the work. You earned the shift. You stayed in the fire, and that internal pride, that is what carries you forward. Do not trade that for surface applause. Do not abandon the process for the illusion of instant success. Stay in it. Trust it. Love it. Because when you are proud of who you are becoming, the outcome becomes a bonus, not a necessity. Chapter 11. Use pain as fuel, not as an excuse. There is one truth you must learn early if you are going to become unshakable. Pain is part of the process. There is no growth without discomfort, no transformation without pressure, no rise without resistance. The pain you are feeling is not a punishment. It is a message, a sign that you are alive, that you are being stretched, that you are walking away from the version of yourself that no longer fits the life you are building. But here is where most people break. They use pain as a reason to stop. They say, "This hurts too much. It must mean I am not ready." Or worse, "It is not meant for me." But pain is not the sign to quit. It is the invitation to rise, to lean in, to use the very thing that was supposed to break you as the thing that builds you. Because pain, when held with purpose, becomes fuel. Everyone carries pain. Some carry it as baggage, others carry it as fire. The difference is not what happened, it is what you do with it. Pain can be your prison, or it can be your power. It can silence you or sharpen you. It can bury you or build you. But you have to decide. No one else can choose for you. Your past pain, the betrayal, the failure, the rejection, it can become the very reason you show up today, the reason you train harder, the reason you speak with more conviction, the reason you do not quit. Not because you are trying to prove anyone wrong, but because you have already been through darkness and you survived. Now it is time to build from that. And if this speaks to your scars, to the battles you have fought, quietly share it with someone who needs to be reminded. Your pain does not disqualify you, it qualifies you. The most powerful people are not the ones who have avoided pain. They are the ones who have walked through it face first and came out the other side more focused, more clear, more alive. They have stopped asking why me and started asking what now. They understand that pain will come, but suffering is optional. Pain may knock you down, but it cannot keep you there, not if you keep standing back up. So how do you use pain as fuel? You start by refusing to waste it, refusing to numb it, refusing to hide it. You look it in the face. You ask it what it is here to teach you. You let it reveal your strength, not your weakness. Because every tear you have shed, every loss you have felt, every moment you thought you could not go, on it all gave you something. A lesson, a fire, a deeper reason to build. Your pain gave you insight others do not have, empathy others do not understand, hunger others cannot fake. That is not a curse, that is your edge. Use it. Let it sharpen your focus. Let it push you further. Let it remind you of the life you promised yourself, the one you said you would build no matter what. You must stop waiting to be free of pain before you move forward. That day may never come, and that is okay, because you do not need to be pain-free to be powerful. You do not need to be healed to be useful. You need to decide that the pain ends with you, that the excuses stop here, that the story changes now, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Pain will visit again. It always does. But the next time it does, you will not fold. You will welcome it like an old teacher. You will say, "I know this feeling, but I also know what I can build from it." That mindset is unbreakable. That kind of person, that person becomes unstoppable. Do not bury your pain. Honor it by building something with it. Turn the ashes into a foundation. Turn the silence into strength. Let the world see what a soul looks like when it refuses to give up, no matter what tried to break it. Chapter 12. Build your future in silence. The loudest one in the room is often the weakest, because real builders do not broadcast every brick they lay. Real warriors do not explain every battle they are preparing for. When you are truly committed to creating something extraordinary, your energy shifts. It moves away from needing to be seen and into the deep work of becoming. Silence becomes your sanctuary. Discipline becomes your voice. The results become your response. We live in a culture that rewards exposure. That says, show your journey so the world can cheer for you. But what if the cheering stops? What if no one is watching? Will you still build? That is the test. That is where your real character reveals itself. Not when you are applauded, but when you are alone. And the truth is, the most important progress happens in solitude. No camera, no likes, no external affirmation, just you and the work, you and your future. Silence does not mean weakness. It means focus. It means you are not here to entertain. You are here to evolve. You are not chasing applause. You are chasing alignment. You are not performing. You are practicing. You are sharpening the blade quietly so that when it is time to act, your impact cuts deep. Most people speak too soon. They announce goals they have not yet committed to. They seek validation before they have done the work. But when you declare too early, you invite doubt. You create pressure. You spend energy convincing instead of creating. But when you move in silence, all of your energy goes into the build. And that is where the transformation begins, not in what you tell the world, but in what you tell yourself in the dark. If this resonates with the part of you that is tired of noise and hungry for results, share it with someone who is ready to go quiet and go deep. Silence teaches you to listen not to the world, but to yourself, to the part of you that knows what needs to be done, to the part that does not need approval to take action. It teaches you patience. You begin to understand that just because something is not seen does not mean it is not working. Some of your most important growth happens underground, like roots, invisible but vital. And when the roots are deep, the tree will stand. When you choose silence, you choose depth over display. You choose to master your habits instead of marketing your intentions. You let your consistency become your message. You let your results speak louder than your voice ever could. That kind of life cannot be faked. It is slow, it is quiet, but it is real. And one day it becomes undeniable. This is your reminder: not everything needs to be shared. Not every goal needs to be announced. Not every win needs to be validated. Some things are sacred. Some transformations deserve privacy. Some breakthroughs are too raw to be exposed. Protect your process. Nurture it in silence. Let it grow without interference. Because when you build in silence, no one can steal your momentum. No one can dilute your focus. No one can question what they do not see. And when you finally arrive, when the work is visible, it will not be because you asked to be seen. It will be because you could not be ignored. Let your silence be your power. Let your absence from noise be the presence of purpose. Let your detachment from attention be the signal that you are doing real work. Because real change does not happen in front of the crowd. It happens when no one is watching and you still choose to show up. So go dark if you must. Go quiet, go still, and build. Brick by brick, habit by habit, day by day. Let the world wonder what you are up to. You owe no one an explanation, only execution. And when it is time, they will see. They always do. Chapter 13. Become the person who finishes what they start. Starting is easy. Starting is exciting. Starting makes you feel alive. But finishing that is where the real transformation lies. Most people never finish. They live in a cycle of beginnings. The new project, the fresh habit, the next plan. But when things get hard, when the feelings fade, when the results slow, they stop. They rationalize. Maybe this was not for me. And they start something else, chasing that same spark, that same illusion of progress. But nothing grows if it is constantly uprooted. You want to change your life. Become the one who finishes. Finishing is not a talent. It is a decision. A choice to keep showing up long after it stopped feeling good. A refusal to let comfort dictate your commitment. A mindset that says, I said I would, so I will. That kind of person becomes unstoppable because the world is full of starters, but it remembers the finishers. The work of finishing is not glamorous. It is repetition. It is discipline. It is showing up when the outcome feels miles away. It is quiet persistence, not public praise. And it is exactly what separates those who dream from those who deliver. You may not be the fastest. You may not be the best. But if you become the one who always finishes, you will build a life most people only talk about. If this truth speaks to you, share it with someone who keeps starting over. Someone who needs to be reminded that completion is not about hype, it is about heart. There is power in completion. Every time you finish something, you build self-trust. You reinforce the idea that you are a person of integrity, that your word to yourself means something. And that belief will carry you through the next challenge, because when you trust yourself, you do not need as much motivation. You move on identity. Ask yourself, how many things have I started and left unfinished? How many promises have I made to myself and broken? That is not failure, that is feedback. That is a mirror, and now that you see it, you get to change it. Today can be the day you stop leaving things half-built, the day you stop confusing effort with execution, the day you become someone who crosses the finish line every time. The key, simplify. Do not chase 10 things at once. Choose one thing, one goal, one habit, one mission. Lock in, give it everything, finish it, then move to the next. Because momentum is not built in starting, it is built in completing. You do not get stronger by trying, you get stronger by finishing what you try. And yes, it will get boring. Yes, it will get hard. Yes, your mind will beg for something new, something easier. That is the test. That is where most quit. That is where you must go further. Because the magic happens after the feelings fade. When it is just you and your commitment. That is where your identity shifts. When you finish even the smallest task, you send a signal to your brain, I follow through. That signal compounds. It becomes belief, and belief becomes behavior, and behavior becomes destiny. But it all begins with the finish, with the choice to keep going even when it is quiet, even when it is hard, even when no one claps. Finishing is not about perfection. It is about completion. Done is better than perfect. Showing up is better than waiting to feel ready. Progress is better than potential. So whatever you are building, finish it. Whatever you are writing, finish it. Whatever you started last month, last year, finish it. Not for the world, for you. Because your future self is watching, and they are begging you to follow through. Chapter 14. Make discipline your new identity. People often ask, how do I become more disciplined? But that question misses the point, because discipline is not something you do. It is someone you become. It is not a tool you pick up when you feel strong. It is a foundation you build when you are tired, when you are doubting, when no one is pushing you but you. Discipline is not a hack. It is an identity. You must stop seeing discipline as a task and start seeing it as your default. It is not something you reach for when things go wrong. It is who you are every day, in every moment, in every decision. When your identity shifts, your actions follow, because your behavior will always reflect who you believe yourself to be. So stop saying, I am trying to be more disciplined. Start saying, I am the kind of person who follows through, always. This is not about being rigid or robotic. It is about becoming consistent with your values, with your routines, with your word. It is about knowing that feelings will lie to you, that motivation will fade, that distractions will call, and still you move, still you execute, still you rise. Not because it is easy, but because it is who you are now. And if this shift resonates with you, share it with someone who is ready to stop trying and start becoming. There is freedom in identity-based living. When you no longer debate with yourself every morning, when you stop questioning whether or not you will do the hard thing, you just do it. You do not need a mood check. You do not need a pep talk. You wake up and you move. That kind of clarity saves energy. It eliminates friction, and over time, it creates extraordinary results. Think about the strongest people you know. They are not always loud, but they are consistent. They are stable. You can count on them because they can count on themselves. That is what discipline becomes when it is embedded into your identity. It becomes reliability, predictability, strength. The world may call it obsession, but you will call it freedom. Because when your life is built on discipline, you no longer have to chase results. You attract them through consistency, through standards, through action. And that is where real power begins. Identity-based discipline means you start asking a different question. What would the best version of me do right now? Then you do that. Every time, until it becomes automatic. Until you no longer think about it, until the habits that once felt hard become who you are. You want to eat better. Become someone who does not negotiate with their health. You want to build a business. Become someone who moves forward daily, regardless of how they feel. You want to write, lead, create, master something. Then stop trying, start being. The shift begins with belief. The belief that you already are the kind of person who does the hard thing, the quiet thing, the consistent thing without needing to feel like it. It takes time, it takes rewiring, but every time you act in alignment with that identity, you reinforce it. Every time you keep your word, you cement it, and soon you stop needing external reminders. You stop needing others to hold you accountable, because you have become the kind of person who does not break promises to themselves. That is what makes you unstoppable. Chapter 15. Win quietly, rise, slowly finish, unshakable. The world moves fast. It demands noise. It celebrates quick wins and flashy success. But true greatness, the kind that lasts, does not move in a hurry. It rises in silence. It builds slowly. And when it arrives, it does not need to shout, because its presence speaks louder than words. That is the power of a quiet, consistent life. One brick at a time, one invisible victory after another. Until one day, everything changes, not because you got lucky, but because you never stopped building. There is something sacred about rising slowly. It teaches you patience. It teaches you humility. It teaches you to build a foundation so deep, so stable, that nothing can shake it. Not failure, not rejection, not time. And when you win from that place, a place of integrity, alignment, and discipline, the victory feels different. It is not loud, but it is lasting. You do not need the world to know what you are working on. You do not need to post every step. You do not need validation. You need focus. You need solitude. You need to keep your head down and your standards high. That is how you build something real. That is how you become someone unshakable. The quiet life is not the easy life, but it is the free one. Free from performance, free from external pressure, free from the need to prove anything to anyone. When you stop living for the crowd, you start living for something deeper, something true, something that cannot be taken away. And if you have stayed this long, if these words have stayed with you, then you are ready. Ready to stop chasing and start anchoring. Ready to stop announcing and start executing. Ready to stop hoping and start becoming. Share this message with someone who is tired of the noise. Someone who is ready to build quietly, rise slowly, and win with dignity. Because the truth is, your life is not a race. It is not a performance. It is a mission, a sacred responsibility. And if you honor it, if you protect it, you will rise. Maybe not fast, maybe not loud, but solid, certain, complete. The world may not notice at first, but your consistency will demand respect. Your results will make noise in silence. Your transformation will speak when you do not need to. And in the end, you will not just win. You will become the kind of person who never needed to. That is what it means to focus on you until you win. Not to shout, not to beg, not to compete, but to rise with inner strength, unshakable clarity, and a heart that never gave up. You are ready. You always have been. Now go build in silence, win with grace, and when you arrive with power.